Hello YouTube. Let me introduce you my latest acquisition, 2008 CLK350, and let me walk around the car. It is nearly mint condition. The only thing visually, the forklifts looks like slightly damaged, the bumper in the back looks like mostly it may be buffed out and slightly touched up, but that's absolutely not a big deal. But take a look at body. I found like little ding in here, if you can see, and I also found one more somewhere here. I cannot see it, maybe somewhere here, but in general this is an absolutely clean example of the CLK, and I did not wash the car yet. Take a look on the inside. The seats are very clean for 14 years old car. It came with an opened fuse panel. It's the covers right there, and it was listed as the non-start and pretty much lost type unknown. The listing, you can check it out, it was showing mechanical damage, and so obviously not running. And I thought it, based on the how the car looks like, I thought it could be the maybe flood damage when the engine hydrolocked, because obviously there are no accidents. And I also double checked the Carfax report. There is nothing said about the flood, there is nothing said about accidents ever, so it's very clean Carfax, except the car was totaled by the insurance company. And when the driver brought the car yesterday, I asked him if the car is starting, and he told me yes, he was able to start the car. And I thought, interesting, why the listing was showing the car is mechanical damage and non-starting. So I did two things, actually three things with the car out of camera. Let me show you. First of all, I installed the hood struts, because there were none. Not bad hood struts, but none at all. I replaced the battery, because the one that came with the car is totally dead. And this thing is like a distribution box for the power, was dangling, so it was removed, so I attached it back. And the rear cover of this box was opened, and for you that don't know, there are like high amperage fuses in the back of the box, like 60 amps, I don't know, 100 amps or whatever, maybe even 130. I didn't pay attention what are those, but this car is possessed. I'm not sure if it's aliens or something, but take a look. I am installing the negative. Everything is right, everything is good, nothing out of the ordinary, except for some reason I'm not sure, it's a fog light probably is on. When I open the door, I install the key, I turn the key, and you see the high beam light started to glow. Let's take a look outside. Is there anything right now? No high beam lights. Let's try to, I don't know, do something with the switch. No lights. Okay, let's turn the switch off. Let's see if the car gonna start. car starts fine. The headlight switch is in the off position. Brake fluid level check, blah blah blah. The headlights are on, and I noticed in the listing the headlights were on as well. The noise, I think it's a bearing for the alternator. It's going from that side. The windows turn on. I mean, they are working, but they don't do the little dents when you open the door. Okay. The radio is not working. Nothing in here. AC looks like it is working. Cold air. That's an interesting thing though. The car is still working. The keys are in my hand. The headlights are on. It's been possessed. No keys in the ignition. The car is running. All right. Negative of the battery. It disconnects. All right, let's put it back. And repeat the procedure. We're going inside, inserting the key to the kind of ignition. I turn off the key, remove the key, insert it, and now the key doesn't turn. How do you like that? And the lights are like in the ignition position right now. Right here, it's like the key is being turned into the ignition position, but it's not. How do you like that? What about the window? Okay, windows are still working. The trunk doesn't open. So as you can see, this car got some troubles in terms of the electronics, and the headlights are on. So every time I turn on the ignition, not even starting the car, just the ignition on, ignition off, the headlights are on. The car doesn't respond to the remote. The trunk doesn't open. And so that's the current state of this car, and I guess this what made the car totaled by insurance company for the previous owner. And let's try to think about what could be the problem. And my first thought is, since the headlights are on and the thing is off, the headlight switch is off, the unit that is controlling the headlights is the front signal acquisition module, front SAM, which is located right in here. And I had the problem few years ago with a CLK350, and I still have the video. If I won't forget, I will post it. When the drains were clogged for this area, and this like a Y fitting for the coolant was leaking, and the coolant was leaking inside, and it didn't have any room to, to drain because the drain was clogged. That actually fried the engine computer for CLK. The SAM was fine, but engine computer fried, and so I replaced the computer and it started to work. So this would be my first guess, and we can double check. So let me try to find the I'm trying to find the flashlight, the little flashlight. Still works? Yes, still works. By the way, let's turn off the battery. The headlights are draining the battery. Guys, do you see anything? Because I think, let me check if I can get you any deeper. I think I see the nest of some creatures, and probably, yes, it's pretty packed in there. Probably at one point this front SAM was clogged. I am not sure what's happening with the rear tail lights and why the rear, let's say the trunk doesn't open. If there is something happening with the rear SAM as well, or maybe front SAM is messing the network, because I guess they're all on the same data line, and if this SAM is possessed or fried, I think it can mess up the whole network, making the rear SAM inoperable as well. So my idea here is try to get this SAM out, and I do have few of those in stock because I disassembled quite a few of those CLKs, and I guess I'm rambling a lot, but let's try to remove this SAM module and try to replace it. I think the best way to get to SAM is to remove the wiper blades, remove this cowling or whatever it's being called, remove the wiper motors, and then you'll get the full access to the SAM. And I'm gonna remove the caps for the nuts. Third 13mm nut. Couple drops of WD-40 to make it slightly easier, but looks like this car was maintained very good, and possibly it shouldn't be Now we have 4 Torx, probably T20, maybe even T25. Where are you? 1, 2. Three. 4. Now we have a couple lines to disconnect. The drain, one drain, two drains, this line. I know there is third drain on this side, but and we have one sensor. I'm not sure what kind of sensor is it. Maybe the sensor gonna be the last. Just disconnected the sensor. Okay, that was removed. Flashlight. Okay. 2 bolts, I guess, 13 millimeters, holding the windshield wiper motor. One, 2, and there is one more bolt, 10 millimeters. And I remember I don't need to forget about this metal thing. Just remind me, guys, when it's time to install it back. I guess it's support for the this cowling. Okay, 10 millimeter bolt. Okay, and I'm gonna need the pick to disconnect the motor wiring from the front SAM. All right. The motor is removed, and now we have a full access to the front SAM module. Yeah, don't forget to remind me about this thing. Let's disconnect the wiring from the top. 1, 2, okay, and now I'm gonna do 3 bolts or screws holding the front SAM in place. And now it's gonna be a bunch of wiring here in the bottom. Yes, the little pick is very helpful in this situation. Let's check if I'll be able to open this. However, I don't see any signs of liquid here. No, it's actually fairly cool. Ah, that's what this guy just burned. Okay, that's something interesting. Why it's burned? Looks like it's another question altogether. But this crunchy stuff is definitely not good. I'm wondering now if I will put the replacement SAM, if it's gonna burn as well or no. Okay, let's check in the trunk. And since electrical opener doesn't work, we're gonna do it all the way. That thing. Let's continue. Light. Okay, what do we see in here? I don't see any signs of the liquid or water anywhere. It's freaking like just came from the factory actually. So why don't we try to install the replacement SAM? Let me find if I have, same part number, and because I just assembled 08 CLK as well, exactly same car, so bear with me. Okay, found the replacement SAM. Well, this part is not yet fried, and before I install it, I would like to try to get down there and clean some of that nest thing. And actually I'm gonna double check the wiring. Maybe some of the wires are chewed, or who knows what could happen. Okay, that's gonna go in, that's gonna go trash. This is probably half or maybe even less of the nest. The other half I was able to blow with a with a blower, and right now I would like to pour some water there and see if the water kind of escapes, because looks like the plug that or actually not a plug, but the drain is still blocked. But I'll pour some water and we'll see. Looks like it's slowly leaking away, but still not as fast as I would like it to. I'm gonna try to poke this hole in this drain. You guys absolutely cannot see it. It's buried in there, and maybe it's gonna help the water flow. The water is still sitting in this well, but it's not high enough to damage the replacement SAM module. So the only way to get to the drain is to remove the liner above the wheel and do it like from the bottom. That's not a big deal. So let's focus right now on installing this replacement SAM. What makes it slightly more simple, despite like a bunch of connections that are color coded. There may be same type connectors but different color, and as long as you follow the color code, you should be good. Same thing from this side, like red or blue or green connectors. So let me put some wiring in here, and we'll see if it's gonna help or not. Hopefully the replacement SAM won't be fried because, for example, the critters cut some wires and make a short circuit. Okay, first of all I need those locking connections. Wrong order of operations. First of all goes this little one, then goes the large one, otherwise it's impossible to lock the lever. Okay. Looks like I connected all the wiring except the windshield motor, I mean windshield wiper motor, and I think before I button it up we can try to connect the battery. I have the key. Let's see if anything happens. Ah, okay, something new. I can turn the keys several times now. There is no high beam light. The car starts. Let's check the lights. No lights in here. What about the lights in the back? We still have the fog light. Now we see the battery indicator. Looks like the alternator is not charging stuff. but it's definitely the alarm is still not working. But I never checked any of those fuses. Maybe some of them been pulled out. But yeah, looks like we fixed something already. How are the windows doing? Okay, that's different now because no, it's not. It doesn't recall this position. Okay, how the headlights are doing? Okay, the headlights are fine. There are no tail lights. I bet the rear SAM is also shut. What about the low beam? Low beam works. High beam works, I can see. Okay, that's good. The trunk latch doesn't work, so I bet there is the problem with the rear SAM as well. And surprise, surprise, I should have it in stock as well. So we're getting somewhere. I think at that point, and yeah, I can start the car several times. So at that point, I'm gonna put this part back in place, and we'll proceed further. Half of the car is fixed. How about that? Let's try to put everything back in place. And here comes the motor. And thank you for reminding me about this metal part. Let's not break the windshield. Just like that. And this goes like what? Like that, I guess. Looks like it. Alright, two 13mm bolts and one 10mm bolt. And why don't we connect it back in place? New used front SAM module. And oh, wrong button. So the front is pretty much put together. I just need to put the cover for the battery. I won't do that because I need to disconnect the battery a couple more times again, because we're gonna replace the rear control module, or at least to put the replacement one and see if it's gonna help us to, you know, fix the issue with the rear of the car. I think it does. And I was thinking about this whole situation, considering the front module was fried, the rear module is most likely fried, and the alternator is not charging the battery, so the alternator is dead. And I thought maybe the mouse nest or whatever animal nest is there, maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe that's not the problem with the water intrusion, because as you saw, there are no any signs of water inside the old front SAM module. I thought, what if they tried to jump start the car because of the bad alternator? So maybe the battery was weak, alternator is not working. What if they switched the polarities and fried those two modules? Because technically speaking, if the front module would be submerged and fried because of the water, it shouldn't have any effect on the rear control module. And keep in mind, I didn't put any diagnostic equipment yet. Most likely the rear control module won't even respond. That's my second theory, which I think could be even the correct one. The radio is still not working, however both fuses are good, the one in here and the one on the side of the dash. If I'm not mistaken, there is one more fuse on the actual radio, but it takes some time to get, you know, the radio out, so it's gonna be, you know, for next time. But meanwhile, we're gonna focus on the rear SAM module replacement, swap, test, whatever you want to call it. So I found the same part number even in my inventory, and probably I can get away just swapping the wires right here without installing the actual thing in place. Hopefully the wiring gonna be long enough, but we'll find it out in a moment or two. Looks like everything is in place. Interestingly enough, this SAM got much more fuses than this one installed. This one is missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fuses at least, and this one got a full array of those fuses. But I guess everything is being connected, and we can try to, you know, turn on the car and see what happens. Okay. Let's pop the hood. Let's make some sparks. 1, 2, 3. Looks like nothing is burning yet. Can you hear it? And I bet the trunk will pop this time. No, the trunk. That's it. Huh. The trunk still doesn't pop. What about with this button? Yes, it wasn't popping before. Okay. The turn signals started to work. They weren't working before. Let's check the ghost lights. No ghost lights. Let's check all the lights. Just this side, or no? I know, all of them. Let's check if that thing wasn't working before, the emergency button, so it works now. The radio still doesn't work. It could be the fuse on the actual radio, or the actual radio could be actually burned. What about the... Let's see if those windows will shut. Yep. Oh, something new. The presenter started to work. Okay. What else we can check? Pretty much everything works except the radio. And trunk popper from the key. I'm not sure yet why. So looks like we need to It could be the... Oh! I hear the trunk popped. It could be the weak battery in here as well. Let's not drop this version, but yeah, from some of the positions it's working. So I think the easiest way to start is to replace the battery in the key. That's what about this button? Okay, this started to work too. Let's check the convertible top, shall we? The only thing I don't like, it's running off the battery right now. We need to fix the alternator thing. All right. Okay, it works. I won't do the whole thing yet. folks, I guess this is success. It's like the easiest repair. I didn't tackle the generator or alternator yet, but anyway, it's easiest repair. And let's turn off the lights. No lights. Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm gonna replace the rear let's see, rear SAM module. Yeah, it's probably the batteries are too weak in that thing, but anyway, this started to work. The button works. I'm gonna physically put the new SAM in place, and the next step, I'll just tackle the alternator, because we need to have the working alternator in the car. Other than that, that's a huge success. It was very good deal, low mileage, 95,000 miles, great condition except the rear seam for the convertible. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. So I couldn't wait, and I disassembled the whole thing, and I found 15 amp blown fuse that is installed inside the radio connector. So I guess that supports my theory that someone tried to jump the car with the incorrect polarity. Is it in or no? Yeah, it's in. However, it's not very kind of sturdy sitting, I guess I wouldn't call it. Is it the right way or no? Alright. And I hear some sounds. Ta-da-ta-ta-ta-ta. How to
Tickets to cheer on our Charlotte Knights and Charlotte.
okay, and when it came, it had the navigation disc sitting on the floor. Let's check. It's not reading the okay, navigation is initializing. Okay. Looks like it's working. Dun, da, 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 da.
Half your closing costs.
Alright, radio is fixed. So the only thing left is the alternator. Guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.